You are listening to Practical and Woo by Mindset and Manifest. My name is Eden, and I invite you to embark on a journey with me to explore the practical and spiritual edges of the unknown for the purpose of allowing you to embody and empower yourself uniquely as you are and to intentionally create and live a life of freedom and fulfillment. Each week, I am going to discuss topics such as energetics, reality creation, manifestation, astrology, tarot, and more to help empower you to live beyond perceived limitations and to practically design your life so it feels like absolute magic every step of the way. Let's dive in. Well, hello, brilliant soul. Today's episode presents a moment to pause, to reflect, to zoom out just enough to see your present life with a little more space, a little more kindness, and a lot more clarity. I want to invite you to consider something. When you're 80 years old, do you think you'll remember the minutia details of your day-to-day life, your day-to-day schedule? Or will you remember how you treated yourself? When you're 90, even 100, will you look back and remember the stress you carried on your shoulders like a garment, or the constant second guessing, the way you used your mind against yourself like an enemy, defining yourself in roles of defendant as well as judge and jury? Or do you think you will allow yourself to remember something different? Will you remember the nights that you danced barefoot in your kitchen, the mornings you gave yourself permission to simply be, the moments you said, I'm not going to let this ruin my day, and then witnessing the magic and the miracles that somehow followed? Because when you really allow yourself to think about it, not everything is worth spiraling for. Not everything is worth overthinking or the lost hours of sleep. So many of us have been taught that every problem must be solved immediately, that every email needs a perfect response, that every relationship glitch is a sign of something broken, that if you don't get it right in every moment, then it means you're failing. But what do you think your 80-year-old self might say? Especially if you're on the trajectory to infusing more wisdom and consciousness and intentionality into your day-to-day life. Especially if you are dedicated to honing yourself on your personal growth journey, which you probably are to some degree if you find yourself here listening to Practical and Woo. Your grown, wise, expanded 80-year-old self probably doesn't care about that text you overanalyzed for 3 hours, and probably doesn't care that your to-do list didn't get cleared every single day. Your 80-year-old self won't remember the post you forgot to make, the awkward pause in a conversation, or the fact that you forgot to reply at all. Your 80-year-old self probably will, however, remember how your body felt when you woke up. Remember how kind you were to yourself when you were tired. Remember how much time you spent feeling ashamed for being human, or how much you laughed even when things weren't perfect. So allow this episode and this moment right here be your check-in. What are you currently stressing over? What's got your nervous system in a tangle? What story are you looping in your mind? Zoom out. Is this something your 80-year-old self would thank you for worrying about? Or would they lovingly put a hand on your shoulder and say, let it go, sweet one. This one's not worth it. Sometimes we cling to things out of habit. We overthink because it's familiar. We ruminate because it feels like we're able to control. We punish ourselves for not being further along because somewhere along the way we learned that being hard on ourselves was the same thing as being responsible. But your future self won't remember the details of your day-to-day worry. They'll remember the moments where the most was made. They'll remember the time you made yourself a cup of tea and sat on the porch to watch the light change in the sky. They'll remember the courage that it took to forgive yourself and move forward, witnessing how you grew from every moment you made that choice. They'll remember the decision you made to stop performing for people who never understood you in the first place and instead started treating yourself to daily acts of love. This isn't about ignoring responsibilities or bypassing your life. It's about being wise enough to know which moments deserve your energy and which ones are simply asking to be witnessed and effectively released. If it won't matter to you in 5 years or even 5 days, give yourself permission to move on. With this concept in mind, I want to share with you what I'm practicing lately. And maybe you'll want to join me, not as another self-help rule book, but just a few simple, tiny micro shifts, daily acts of kindness that I feel nourishes me from the inside out. Things like putting on lotion like I'm tending to something precious, sitting outside with my tea and actually looking at the sky, asking my inner child what she wants, and then giving it to her without justification. Saying to myself, that's okay, we'll try again tomorrow, more often than saying, why did you mess that up? Letting myself be warm and gracious instead of needing to be right. Catching the urge to fix myself and instead placing a hand over my own heart and saying, hey, you're okay, you're loved, you're learning. These things might sound small, but they're not. Because when you repeat something, it becomes what you remember. And what you remember becomes who you are. Let it be easy. Let this be a simple act to return to your joy, to come back to your breath. Let it be natural to say something like, I don't need to carry this. You are allowed to live a beautiful, fulfilling life right now. Not once it's all perfect, not once everyone understands you, not once you finally meet some imagined standard of enough, but right now, messy, growing, learning, expanding, evolving every single day. Before we close our episode for today, let me invite you into a vision, a moment of time travel. Imagine yourself in a cozy chair sometime in the future, possibly when you're 80 years old. Your hands are soft with time, your eyes filled with a deep, full light. Maybe you're surrounded by grandchildren, or maybe it's just you and the quiet morning light. Someone comes over, an inquisitive friend, and they ask you about your life. You smile and you choose the stories you tell. So consider, which ones do you choose? Will you say, I was always behind, always pushing, always trying to get everything right? Or will you say, I learned to soften, I learned to let go, I gave myself joy even when sometimes it wasn't being reflected back to me. I chose to live fully even when it felt hard. Consider your vision. Let it live in your heart. Be the story that you'll tell, because it's the one that you're writing right now. Your 80-year-old self is wanting you to know that you can stop trying so hard to prove something. You're already someone they're proud of. So keep choosing the things that matter. Keep choosing rest over resentment, kindness over perfection, and presence over pressure. And if you forget, just ask yourself, will I remember this as important when I'm 80 years old? There is wisdom found in the answer you receive every step of the way. Until next time.